From the first season living up to the hype Game of Thrones left us with, to the shepherd involving religion in the upcoming Civil War, here are some of the characters we need to see in House of the Dragon Season 2. The debut season of the series has taken the world by storm. Fans can't seem to get enough of it, and I can see why. It's got everything you could ever want in a show: drama, action, suspense, and let's not forget all those epic dragons. With incredible acting, stunning visuals, and an intense storyline, it's no wonder fans are still raving about it. The series quickly became a cultural phenomenon and has brought people together from all over. It's definitely lived up to the hype, and fans are eagerly waiting for the next season. Speaking of the second season though, it looks like the house is going to get a whole lot bigger. Season 2 has set the stage for the Targaryen Civil War, better known as the Dance of the Dragons. This war will have Westeros tearing itself apart to decide who will sit on the Iron Throne, either Rhaenyra or Aegon. As the armies clash and towns burn, the skies will be filled with the sounds of dragons dying until Daenerys hatches 3 new ones in Game of Thrones. But wait, there's more. With the war comes a host of new characters on both sides, making it all the more exciting for viewers. While some characters have been confirmed by the showrunners or mentioned in throwaway dialogue, there's still plenty of room for speculation after diving into Fire and Blood. The first of these characters is Prince Daeron. At the tender age of 15, the 4th child of King Viserys Targaryen and Queen Alicent Hightower finds himself in the middle of a bloody war. Although King Viserys had hoped that Daeron and Rhaenyra's oldest son, Jacaerys Velaryon, would grow up like brothers, fate had other plans. Daeron sided with his siblings thanks to a mutual dislike for their nephews. He became a dragon rider at the age of 6 and flies Tessarion, the Blue Queen, like a pro. Daeron was omitted from Season 1, but don't you worry. George R.R. Martin himself confirmed that he's present in the show. Currently, he's staying with his Hightower relatives in Oldtown, but it's rumored that he'll be accompanying his great-uncle Hobert Hightower to war. This would also increase the number of dragons on the green side to 4, and that's a whole lot of dragons. But it's not just the dragon houses involved in this scuffle, as Cregan Stark may also be joining the fray. Ah yes, the noble and honorable Starks. I'm sure you Game of Thrones fans need no introduction. Cregan may just be the missing piece of the puzzle in this era of Westeros history. In the first season's finale, Rhaenyra sent her eldest son Jacaerys to win over the Stark ruler. Thanks to the North's geographic location, it's unlikely that Cregan will be getting into any battles anytime soon. But his diplomatic skills will be put to the test as he meets with Jacaerys to determine if he has what it takes to be a king. Let's not forget what this ruler brings to the table. With the Stark's reputation for seeking justice, he's sure to have some strong opinions on the current state of Westeros. As a skilled warrior and leader, he may just be the key to bringing stability to the Seven Kingdoms. Who needs dragons when you've got the indomitable human spirit on your side? But although Cregan declared his allegiance to the Blacks, he hasn't figured out how to teleport like Jon Snow just yet. So while we wait for him to arrive on the scene, Roderick Dustin will have to do. The Lord of Barrowtown has been tasked with leading a group of veteran warriors, better known as the Winter Wolves, to act as the North's vanguard. And let me tell you, these guys are some of the fiercest fighters you'll ever come across in the Seven Kingdoms. But Roderick and his Winter Wolves aren't just interesting for their badassery on the battlefield. They also give us a peek into Northern culture that Game of Thrones didn't show much of. As winter looms on the horizon, many Northerners sign up to fight to spare their families from having to feed another mouth. This means that they fight with a ferocity that is unmatched by any other region in Westeros. After all, they have no fear of death and will stop at nothing to protect their homeland. But not everyone's rushing headfirst into this conflict. Some prefer to hang back and see who's on the winning side first. I'm of course referring to Elmo Tully. Like Edmure Tully, Elmo steps up to lead his house in his father's absence. But unlike his bumbling counterpart, he's a capable and cautious leader. He understands that picking a side too early could spell disaster for his house. So he decides to wait and see how the chips fall before pledging his fealty to either Rhaenyra or Aegon. After all, picking the wrong side could result in a visit from an angry dragon, and nobody wants that. He's a smart and strategic leader who knows that sometimes the best move is to hold back and wait for the right opportunity. If anything, the only downside to his character is the fact that his whole family is a Muppets reference. Even his father, Grover Tully and his sons, Kermit and Oscar, have Muppet-inspired names. But don't let that fool you. Elmo is no joke. Still, it's the Dragon Riders who are the real stars of the show. I mean, it's literally in the name. The first of these riders is Hugh Hammer. When it comes to dragons in Westeros, size definitely matters, and Daemon knows this all too well. He's got his eyes set on Vermithor, the second largest dragon in the Seven Kingdoms, previously ridden by King Jaehaerys. But there's just one problem. Vermithor doesn't have a rider. According to Fire and Blood, Vermithor's potential new rider is a blacksmith's son named Hugh Hammer. Hugh might not have been born into nobility, but he's determined to rise above his station in life, and he's got a little help from his friend Ulfde White, who happens to have claimed Vermithor's mate, Silverwing. Some riders don't have their selection as a dragon rider to fate though. Take Adam of Hull for example. Because of the deaths of Lucerys and his dragon, Eryx, the Valyrians' future hangs in the balance. Enter Adam, a bastard with a bold claim to Laenor's dragon Seasmoke. His request for legitimacy is a practical solution to the problem, and it seems Colors Velaryon is on board with it. But let's talk about Adam for a moment, shall we? He's one of those rare characters who brings a sense of humor and a kind heart to the story. He's not interested in playing politics or vying for power. He just wants to do what's right and fight for his cause. In a sea of scheming and conniving nobles, Adam is like a breath of fresh air. Now here's where things get interesting. In the books, Laenor dies, which explains why Seasmoke needs a new rider. But his fate is a little different in the show, so it's unclear how they'll explain why Seasmoke is accepting a new rider. At this point though, I can't help but wonder how the regular folks are dealing with the fallout of the war. Luckily, it looks like they've got a leader of their own to follow, namely the Shepherd. During the chaos of the Dance of the Dragons, the common folk of Westeros are seeking refuge and safety in King's Landing, but their fears are being preyed upon by a mysterious and ominous figure known as the Shepherd. This one-armed man is a religious fanatic who preaches that dragons are the spawn of demons, and that only death will bring peace to the people. It's interesting to see how religion can be manipulated by those in power, or those who seek to gain power. The High Sparrow in Game of Thrones was a great example of this, as he used his faith and the fears of the common people to achieve his own ends. The Shepherd takes this to another level, as he seeks to turn the people against the very symbol of power in Westeros, the dragons. The idea of dragons being demonic creatures is definitely a fascinating one, as it adds a layer of complexity to their role in the story. Are they simply powerful weapons to be used by the nobility, or do they have a darker purpose? The Shepherd's beliefs certainly make us question the true nature of these beasts. It'll be interesting to see how the Shepherd's storyline plays out in the show, and how he influences the events of the Dance of the Dragons. Season 2 can't come soon enough. So from the Shepherd getting religion involved in the upcoming Civil War, to the first season living up to the hype Game of Thrones left us with, these have been some of the characters we need to see in House of the Dragon Season 2.